Wednesday, December 27th, the Tax Act Texas Bowl in Houston. Of course, this is Texas A&M against Oklahoma State, two former conference rivals in the Big 12. Oklahoma State is a 2-point underdog in this one. Of course, Mike Elko taking over as the brand new head coach, has a brand new everything as it pertains to the Texas A&M staff. That number one recruiting class in the nation that was there, number one recruiting class ever in the history of recruiting, is now a third of that is about gone into the portal. We don't know exactly how many are going to be gone permanently or who's going to be there. Obviously, Connor Wigman is still a big part of the future of this organization, but not a whole lot of things that we know about what this Texas A&M team is going to look like in this, again, old Big 12 rivalry game.
Yeah, the big question for this game is who exactly is playing for Texas A&M, and I think also fair to wonder about motivation. I think with the coaching change and all the personnel turnover, I think it's a theme of bowl season. We will see some younger players who shine because they're in the spotlight probably for the first time this year, getting a chance. But for Texas A&M, they had kind of a disappointing season. What do we expect in a game where Oklahoma State's probably going to be a lot more at full strength, where A&M is going to be missing several guys on defense? We know Anaya Smith, Evan Stewart also not going to play in this game. I think if you're looking for a matchup during the regular season, A&M was outstanding against the run. Defensive front, sure, some guys have transferred, some guys have already been or out due to injury. Their front there's still a lot of talent on this defense. So I think the question here is for A&M's defense. Elijah Robinson, the interim coach, they've played well under him. This defensive front, can they slow down Ollie Gordon and that Oklahoma State rushing attack? I think for Oklahoma State, that's really the key. We saw this in the Big 12 championship game. You take away Ollie Gordon, their defense really is just okay. Alan Bowman, can he carry them to a win here? I think that's the goal for A&M. Take away Ollie Gordon and force Alan Bowman to beat you.
I mean, every single one of these games is going to be about motivation. That's hard to pinpoint for every team, but you do have sort of, again, these players love Elijah Robinson. There's no question about that, who, of course, is off to Syracuse. They love this guy. And so there's a chance that they are rallying around their relationship with him. There's also sort of a lot of like when Mike Elko got the job, part of the reason that I think you and I both really love the hire was, look, he's going to step into a roster loaded with talent. Maybe it's not as loaded as we expected, but it's still pretty well set up for future success. And so the new sheriff in town kind of thing, how many of these guys are going to use this as an audition to try to earn their spot in Mike Elko's future Texas A&M Aggies? How new is the organizational structure and culture? I find that to be very interesting. So there's a chance that Oklahoma State is just more fully formed and more together on this, and that's why they win. There's also a chance that Texas A&M just has way more talent.
I think in a name that you probably would have thrown in the conversation is, hey, here's a young player who has either played well or he could continue to progress during the bowl season and maybe make things interesting, is Jalen Henderson, a quarterback for Texas A&M. I think kind of an unheralded transfer. I thought he played pretty well down the stretch after Connor Wigman got hurt and he had some other injuries with Max Johnson. But I think it's Connor Wigman's job to lose next year. But if he plays well in this game, we start talking maybe a little bit more of a conversation about the battle. But I think it's a spotlight game for him. It's a spotlight game for the young players there, and it's a spotlight game for Ollie Gordon over at Oklahoma State against an outstanding defense too.
And of course, inside the state of Texas, with everybody in the state of Texas watching as the conferences change and turn. Henderson was kind of a breath of fresh air at the end of that whole deal. It's almost as if Jimbo Fisher should have realized that quarterbacks that are mobile can be valuable. I don't know. I mean, I know he did good things with Kellen Mond at the end of his career, but Henderson was pretty good down the stretch. But how much of that was the coaching staff and sort of the relief of like all the pressure being gone off of the staff being removed and everything. So we'll see. It should be very interesting to keep track of.